Hello and welcome back to the Wildly Thriving channel. Our guest today is Lauren Cowan. She is a certified holistic nutritionist based out of Pikesville, Maryland. She owns Soulistic Wellness Center and she specializes in teaching women how to support themselves with movement, proper nutrition, mindfulness, and quality sleep. Welcome, Lauren, to the show.
Thank you for having me. I am super excited to be here.
Yeah, I haven't had anybody on the show from Maryland yet, so I'm excited to see what you can provide to the show. So I always
Oh,
like
absolutely.
to, yeah, I always like to start off with your personal story and how you got to become a nutritionist because we all go through a period of suffering. I presume that you did, and I think people enjoy hearing that about you. So just go in and tell us about your story.
Absolutely. So I guess my journey really starts just about 10 years ago, where it all started with like something very common, right? Wanting to lose weight. And I had a cousin who she went like vegan cold turkey. And I was like, you know what? If she can do it, I can do it too. And so, so I gave it a try. And as I started to explore that lifestyle a bit more, I also started to research like what are these foods doing for me? What did the foods that I used to eat, all the meat and the dairy and processed tons of processed food, what was that doing to me? And why did it take me to, adopt this vegan lifestyle to start feeling the way I'm feeling? Like I'm feeling more energized, I'm feeling more focused, I'm just feeling more positive overall and just feeling generally better about myself. And so I really started to do a lot of research on my own and just looking up the power of food and the chemistry of food and specifically the biochemistry of food and how it works inside our bodies once it gets there. And so I started to think maybe I can like do something with this because I had gotten to the point where I would tell anybody who would listen about my transformation. I was just so excited to just share everything I learned. And I said, you know what, this feels like some sort of calling. And so I spent quite some time researching, possible career paths, certifications or degrees, or just any sort of continuing education I can get in this particular field. And I landed on holistic nutrition and versus just a traditional dietitian or a general nutritionist. And what really stuck out for me is that it was whole body wellness, right? It wasn't just this one size fits all approach where we're going to say, eat your greens, drink your water, get some cardio in 5 times a week. And it's like, no, everything needs to be tailored because every person is different. We are very unique. And so fast forward a few years and I found the Energetic Health Institute, which is an online holistic nutrition program where you earn a certification after 2 long years of study. And I was just thrilled to have found that community and to have had the opportunity to get so much in-depth knowledge from a naturopath himself. And so from there, I just went on to create Soulistic Wellness Center because I'm like, all right, well, now I'm in it and I got to share everything that I've learned with the world. And I have to help people heal themselves because that's really how it happens. Doctors and nurses and all of these other specialists, yeah, they have some tools, but at the end of the day, you're the one who has to make the intentional effort every day to take care of yourself so you can feel better about yourself. And that's what I have been striving to do since I've been on this journey and really focusing on continuing. I mean, for the long run. So that's my story. That's how I got here.
Yeah. Would you say that there was things that you were like gung ho about? You thought that you were fully convinced this is
Hmm.
the solution to my health issue. And then later
Hmm.
come to find out when you went through the education, you're like, oh, maybe I'm doing this all wrong. Like, are you still vegan to this day, or have you made modifications to your diet or supplementation?
So I'm not vegan to this day. And funny enough, when I was in my certification program, we had the opportunity to take what's called a delayed food allergy test, which is it's blood work and it exposes you to like 100 plus different foods from a ton of different food groups. And as opposed to the traditional allergy test, which usually you go into an office, you get like a skin prick, and then you have this immediate reaction if, in fact, you are allergic to it. Well, there are, without getting too crazy, there there's an immune response that can be significantly delayed, and I'm talking like up to 28 days before it activates from something that you ingested, and by then you have no idea what's triggering that, right? Nearly a month later. And so I took that blood test, and the results came back and said that I had a high response to soy. And as a vegan, it was like, oh damn, like that's really what a lot of my diet focuses on. But a couple other things. Dairy was definitely one of them, which I was not surprised about. And so that was the time I made the decision, like, all right, we got to shift. And by that point, I was deep enough into my education to understand that, eating meat, eating animal products, the concept itself isn't problematic. It's the quality. It's how it's prepared. It's how much of it you're eating, how often you're eating it. And so I can control all of those factors. I can make the conscious decision to do it in a responsible way that still nourishes my body. And so I'm like, all right, cool. I can get back to chicken and fish and shrimp because I didn't miss those foods. So that answers that question. I'm not vegan. But I think there were a lot of different things that I learned that I was just like so many aha moments that really sort of came full circle for me. And one of those um, actually kind of not my personal experience, but my mom had chronic kidney disease for well over 10 years. And so, just to summarize that, that's essentially when both of your kidneys fail, right? And we know your kidneys, you need those to survive. They're flushing out all your toxins on a daily basis. They do a lot for you. And so when they fail, you essentially have to get hooked up to a machine a few times a week so that they can do the work for you. Um, but after time, she started to develop heart issues. She already had high blood pressure and, a bunch of skin issues, and just, it was a myriad of things that when she was going through that, this was prior to me, learning about holistic nutrition, but they all just seemed like isolated sort of effects of the kidney failure. When in fact, in my program, I learned that, for example, your kidneys and your heart and your blood pressure, they're directly connected. So in an abundance of cases, someone who's experiencing kidney issues is almost always going to have some heart issues. And now you're talking about serious stuff. So I think it was like those connections between organ systems and tissues and glands and understanding how they all work together, even though we're traditionally told go see a cardiovascular specialist, go see a nephrologist who specializes in kidney care, go see a gastroenterologist who specializes in digestive health. You're seeing all of these different people who are not talking to each other. And so that creates this environment where we're thinking that there is no connection between the organs that sit inside of our body. And so I think that was probably one of the biggest takeaways, and one of the things that really helped me understand just how important it is to take care of yourself completely, right? You can't do one without the others. So that's really my biggest takeaway from that.
No, I love how you explain that because that's the biggest problem that we're facing in conventional medicine, right?
Mm-hmm.
We are isolating certain organ systems in the body and we're not treating it as a whole.
Mm-hmm.
We don't understand that one organ system can affect the other. Like, number one, the nervous system. This is a big part of your coaching programs, right? Is
Yes.
understanding that that is the foundation and everything builds off of that. So if we have a
Mm-hmm.
dysregulated nervous system, we're going to have a dysregulated digestive system. And then what comes from that? A dysregulated endocrine system. And
Yep.
it just cascades and snowballs over time.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very difficult to get anywhere as far as regaining your quality of life and your health when you are leaning into or expecting your conventional doctor to help you and fix you. Like you said, you have to rely on yourself as your doctor. Get the
Absolutely.
guidance, yeah, if you're in a situation where you are life or death, you need surgery because you broke a bone, conventional medicine is amazing. Don't get me
Hmm.
wrong, there's a place for it, but there is no
Yep.
place for it, in my personal opinion, when it comes to things that are chronic. If it's inflammation driven, because they're not educated on tools and techniques and nutritional guidance, which is essentially what got you there, right? So like with
Exactly.
diabetes, it's chronic inflammation. It's not just sugar, it's a toxin
Hmm.
exposure. It's like the cell, because now glucose can't enter the cell. So
Exactly.
yeah, it's been
Exactly.
a challenging thing to get people to understand that, because they expect these people that have gone to school 8, 10, 12 years to know it all, so that they put all of their faith into these individuals, not knowing that the system works hand in hand with the pharmaceutical companies. And it's a tough reality, a tough truth to
Hmm.
hold, but it is at the end of the day a reality that we have to face. You know what I mean? So that's why
Absolutely.
I like having these conversations with people like you, because it opens up a new avenue, right? It's like, oh, okay, well, maybe I can make a few lifestyle changes and I don't have to get this, surgery later on in life. I don't have to
Hmm.
get on dialysis like your mom did.
Hmm.
There's opportunities for healing that are quite abundant. I just don't think that holistic nutritionists and FDNs like myself are as visible as, I guess, doctors are, or as
Right.
respected. And it's because the narrative's been manipulated in a way.
Absolutely.
Do you ever feel like you struggle to get the trust from your clients because you aren't a doctor, or did you have any issues with that?
I do. And I try to look at it from a perspective of it's an opportunity. This is an opportunity for me to educate you. Because if you're in a traditional doctor's office, right, you come in for something, whatever that may be, it could be something minor like headache or whatever the case is, you're going to be told what the proposed solution is. And 9 times out of 10, like you mentioned, is some sort of drug, right? And then you kind of get sent on your way. Whereas from my perspective, I need you to understand why that is happening. And so you're telling me you're having severe headaches or migraines, and I'm asking you questions to understand so we can get to the root cause of it. It's not just a one-way conversation, right? It's a two-way conversation. I need information from you, and you definitely need information from me. And so I actually welcome the resistance and some of the skepticism that I get. And I don't take it personal because I know it's not specific to me. I'm sure you get it too. We all get it in this space. But I know it's all about delivery, right? It's all about like how we educate our clients, making sure like, we can relate to them and reassure them and help them and make them feel safe, and just let them know that listen, you're coming to me with a problem and I don't want to give you a band-aid. I want to give you a fully thought out, well crafted, tailored, personalized solution. That is what I'm here to do. Because my goal is that once we implement the solutions, because there's often more than one, after time, you don't need me anymore. You don't need to keep visiting me for this migraine or for this digestive discomfort that you always feel after you eat your favorite food or whatever we're talking about. Like the goal is that you walk away with the tools so that when these symptoms or side effects sort of flare up in the future, if that happens, you already know what to do. You already know what the missing piece is, and you can kind of implement it accordingly and go about your day and live your life, right? Like and get back to the standard quality of life that you deserve to have.
Yeah, exactly. Like we what we do in our practice, what you said is very similar to how I run my business, right?
Mm-hmm.
Educating the individual on what the foundations are, all right?
Yep.
Helping them understand, why are we eating this way? You know what I mean? Why do we
Mm-hmm.
have to eat in a certain macro balance? Why are we
Mm-hmm.
avoiding these kinds of foods? Oh, it's
Mm-hmm.
because it's actively causing me inflammation, or it's backing up my bile. I make sure that all of my clients understand what every single lab marker on their lab test means. And you're not going to get that with conventional doctors. And you're not even going to
No.
get that with naturopathic doctors because they don't have the time. That just
Mm-hmm.
reminds me of I literally had a call this morning, a consultation call with a lady, and every time that she would go to her naturopathic doctor, it would be $300 for a 30-minute conversation. She said that she had confirmed candida, and I asked her, "Oh, well,
Okay.
what stool test did they run for that?" And they didn't run any test. So it wasn't confirmed. It was just based off of her symptoms, which you can
Mm.
get a good idea
Mm-hmm.
on if you have candida or not. But then
Mm-hmm.
also, like, the treatment plan included a bunch of antimicrobials, but it's just like, do you not understand that when you have candida, it's because you have a weakened mucosal barrier? So that needs
Yes.
to get addressed first. And there was never
Mm-hmm.
any like phased protocol. And she was getting really frustrated with the fact that she would just go to these appointments, have 30 minutes with her, and then she was left on her own. There was no dialogue, no troubleshooting. And that's exactly what I do. And I'm sure that you do, because that's
Mm-hmm.
what's necessary in order to get the result.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm,
Yeah, it's very,
I'm actually kind of
yeah,
shocked.
tell me about it.
I mean, to diagnose without any sort of lab work is interesting.
I was shocked. I was shocked because usually naturopaths are all about the testing, and the
Yeah.
functional testing.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I guess like it's not that big of a deal. I wouldn't do it personally, just because
Right.
I like to have that in your face. Okay, this is what it is. Because then we
Absolutely.
can go off of that. There's not the guesswork. And the reason why people are coming to people like you and me
Mm-hmm.
is because we want to give them an actual real answer and
Yep.
guide them and get them a rapid result. Like, I don't want to do this cycle of trial and error. That's the point of working with us, is to get
Exactly.
off of that hamster wheel.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Couldn't agree more.
So, hmm
Yes. Why guess when you can know?
yeah,
Why?
yeah.
Why
And then
are we guessing?
that way you're sure of the decisions that you're making, right? So like,
Exactly.
I don't know how you do your lab evaluations, but I will have all of my notes on one side of the screen and then the lab itself on the other.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And on my notes, I'm connecting the dots. So, like, if you have a streptococcus overgrowth or whatever, I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying this is why you have bloating, brain
Yep.
fog. It's because they release LPS. What does
Yep.
that do? It causes neuroinflammation. This is why you're
Mm-hmm.
having these symptoms. This is why we need to follow the supplement regimen. That's what creates accountability and adherence to the program. If I just tell you, like, yeah, I think you got candida, and then I just
Right. Go do
order
this.
you a bunch of supplements with no guidance, like, how are you going to be sure that that's going to work? You know what I mean?
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah,
Right.
it puts the client in the position not only to understand exactly what's happening within their body, but to essentially act as their own practitioner, right? Like you said, that bloating, that it's signaling there's some sort of dysfunction in the gut. And with the candida, it's like your gut lining is the integrity of your gut lining has been compromised. And it can be through a number of things, right? Obviously, diet is a huge one, but it'll also create this sense of, I guess, like really reflective moments that when they are choosing what to eat, choosing what to drink, they're stopping and thinking before they're making these sometimes impulse decisions, and they're really thinking about how's this food going to make my belly feel. Am I going to get bloated from this? Is this, you know what I mean? So I think I absolutely agree with that approach, and that's the only way a client will actually learn and make real impactful change. They have to understand. They have to
Yeah.
understand.
Yeah, that's pivotal in the plan,
Mm-hmm.
especially for me and how I treat my clients. And I always want to make sure that they never feel dismissed. You know what I mean? Like, because
Mm-hmm.
I think the biggest frustration point, and you can chime in here, the biggest frustration point for, I think, these people that have some kind of chronic condition, or maybe they've gone to the naturopath or their conventional doctor, is just they have all of these symptoms,
Mm-hmm.
and it's almost like they don't matter. And we're
Right.
told, especially as women, oh, you just have anxiety, or it
Mm,
gets brushed under the rug, or we're being dramatic. And it's sad that there's so much of a buffer period between working with a doctor and finally landing with some kind of nutritionist or FDN or whatever you want to call it.
hmm.
There's that period, and it builds a lot of distrust. You know what I mean? Like by the
Absolutely.
time people get to me, they've spent thousands of dollars
Yep.
and they just feel like their body's broken because, oh, I went to the most educated guy. I went to the naturopath. I spent 5 G's on this and I'm still exactly where I was at the beginning. It's just, I don't know if you've experienced that with your clients and like them not really being able to, they're very hesitant with starting a program with you because they've already been through that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I had a consultation not too long ago with a woman who similar situation, right? She had been having so many issues for so long. I'm talking a decade or more. And she, all the good intentions were there where she was really, doing whatever research she can, finding the doctors, because that title it communicates trust. And reaching out to them and working with them and letting them know, how they were feeling. And it was, I don't know if it wasn't fully dismissed, but it really wasn't taken into consideration with care, right? It was just kind of like a lot of generalization and kind of lumping her in with maybe some other cases that, these doctors have seen. And while you can draw from experience with other clients or patients, again, every single person is unique and everyone has something different going on. And so, to your point, once they finally feel like they have exhausted all their options and then they find people like us, understandably, they're a bit more hesitant, a bit more hesitant and skeptical of, believing what we're sharing. But at the end of the day, I'm it's okay. You don't have to believe me, but I'm here to again educate, answer any questions you have. And if you choose to take this step with me on your wellness journey, here is what you will receive from me. And what I am sharing is what you are getting. There is no sugarcoating. And a lot of it may seem like it won't make sense until we're in the thick of it and we're sitting down for our first 90-minute conversation to do an in-depth, thorough, detailed review of your health history, essentially for the entirety of your life. Like I got you filling out 10-page packets. I need to know everything. Right? Right?
Yeah,
This
it's
isn't just a
ridiculous.
two-page.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah, and it's going to take time. And I try to remind clients that, up front, this is an investment. And I'm not going to try to pitch it as anything other than that. It is going to take time. It is going to take effort. It is going to take dedication. And obviously, it's going to take money because the results is the return that you're looking for on this investment. This is your goal to have better digestive health, to be able to, you know, eat things and create foods or versions of your favorite foods that don't make you feel the way that you have been feeling for years, right? We'll work on that. This is all about you. This is all about you. So I welcome it. Honestly, I actually appreciate it because it's like I can make you a believer if you are willing to do the work. It is on you. You have to make the choice, and that's kind of where we go from.
Yeah, 100%. And like sometimes you just have to show them what the results actually look like. You know what I
Yep.
mean? So
Mhm.
you just have to, it's just like, what is that story? The 4 minute mile, right? Nobody thought
Mhm.
that they could run a mile in under 4 minutes until somebody actually did it. Then guess what?
Mhm.
What is it, like 16, 20 people have done it since then.
Mhm.
So it's the proof of concept, right? It's like, hey, the
Absolutely.
system actually does work and it's worked for people just like you.
Yes.
So it's not just some mumbo jumbo. And I get what you're saying there, with the fact that they have a hard time believing that it's going to work because it's not like an extreme thing. You know what I mean? It's like it's lifestyle changes. And I don't think they fully understand how those little things, those little habits add up. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Not getting adequate sleep, like you said, that's a
Mhm.
big factor in your protocol.
Absolutely.
Not eating proper nutrition, not managing your stress properly. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
If we're dysregulated and we aren't recovering, we're obviously going to start breaking down. So
That part.
getting people to understand the power of those lifestyle changes, that's what's pivotal. And like you said, that you welcome it, I do too. When I'm on a
Yeah.
call, it's almost I almost love when there's somebody that's gone through the system for years
Hmm.
and they're just at their wits end with it all because I'm
Hmm.
like, let me show you.
Right.
Let me show you exactly how this works. And
Right.
this person, like when I get my mold clients, I'm like, I've had a mold client before, it might
Hmm.
take a little bit of time. And it kind of goes back to, like you were saying, like, yes, it's an investment and it's
Hmm.
going to take time.
Hmm.
You are how old? Usually when we get our clients, they're in their 30s, 40s, and 50s, right?
Hmm.
It's like you're expecting me to undo decades of abuse to your body. You know what I mean?
That part.
And and we can condense that down into, like a 3 to 6 month time period if we get going
Hmm.
on the right labs and we do the proper assessment. I do the same thing with my intake form. There's like 300 questions. I always have to like preface it. I'm like, this is daunting, okay? You need to put it in your calendar like it's an appointment at the doctor's office. Like,
Absolutely.
get it? I was like, I get it. I was like, don't overthink the questions. There's some nuance. Just answer it and move on. I'll ask you
Right.
questions later. But I always have to say
Right.
that to them because I'm like, it's a little, it's
Yep.
long. But there's a point, and the
Yes.
questions are asked in a particular way so
Yes.
that we could build the timeline. And I like that you said
Hmm.
that because it's essential. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Because you could have been having digestive issues since you were 15 years old. What
Hmm.
happened when you were 15 years old? It could not, it could have been from your food. It could have been from a traumatic event, so
Hmm.
we have to kind of reverse engineer it to figure out what that situation was. So I know how to essentially make your protocol because am I going to be focusing on just gut health or should I send you to somebody that I know that does Reiki and energy healing because you had a
Yes.
severe trauma at that age that's been
Yes.
impacting you ever since. Like I need to understand why is your vagus nerve off? Why don't you
Hmm.
feel safe in your body? Why can't you
Hmm.
fall asleep? The why is so important. And I love that you said that. You focus on that as well.
Yes.
And I think
Yes.
that's pretty foundational for all health coaches in this space. I feel like once you actually learn the truth of how to, I don't want to say heal people, we help people learn how to heal themselves, right? I
Right.
know we can't use the C word and we can't use all these claims. We
Ugh,
can't
all
claim
this red
anything,
tape.
even though we fucking do. Even though we
Like it's the
absolutely do.
reality.
I mean, the proof's in the pudding kind of thing.
Exactly. 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 You're
Uh,
right.
but
I agree 100%. I think, a lot of people underestimate the fact that it's a journey, right? And so to your point about, we can work towards helping you feel better, but considering this issue didn't start overnight, there's no way in hell the resolution will be effective overnight, right? Lifestyle changes are so understated and underrepresented. And know having the knowledge I know now as a practitioner, in times where I would go see a traditional doctor and I would just sit in amazement because it's like I'm here because I'm having a very urgent issue and it might require a little bit of Western medicine here. But I also know that that is not the end all be all because I know that there are impacts from what you're about to, from your treatment plan, from your protocol that I'm also going to have to heal myself from. You know what I mean? And so like even that in and of itself is like it's always going to be a journey. And I respect people who, take the time to hear me out, and if they decide that they are not ready to take that journey on for themselves, that's completely fine. Because in all actuality, you're not the person that will benefit from what I'm offering. You're not there yet, and that's okay. That's completely fine. When you are ready to take accountability for your health, for the choices that got you here, understanding those impacts, And now realizing that you have to make different choices moving forward in order to feel better, right? It's like the definition of insanity, doing the same thing over, expecting different results, right? You can't continue to um, have these bad sleep patterns, you know, getting minimal rest every night, complaining about being tired, and, getting sick all the time and not being able to detox your body right, and then think that you can continue to treat your body like that and not give it time to rest and recover and repair. And so I just emphasizing the fact that this is going to take time is probably one of the key messages I think that people need to hear, but people need to understand and accept in order to really, feel comfortable in what we're offering, and feel confident that, like, you can do this with my help. I know you can. It's just you're gonna have to invest some time.
Yeah. Yeah,
That's
and that's
just
what they're
the
paying
gist
for.
of it.
That's what they're
Yeah,
paying for. They're paying for number
exactly.
one, the thousands of hours that we spent researching and also figuring out our own crap. That's what you're
Yep,
paying for. You're paying for the accountability because when you
absolutely.
put up that money and you pay for these labs, oh, you're
Hmm.
gonna follow the protocol. You know what I mean? But if
Hmm.
I just give you free information, you're not gonna do it.
Right.
The human brain is wired to be lazy, okay?
Yes.
And if you don't have those commitments and you don't actually invest value into it, into the program and into yourself, the motivation to actually get it done is very difficult. I mean, like, look at it in every area of life. You know what I mean? If you're going to do a bodybuilding competition, how many of
Hmm.
those bodybuilders do you think are competing on their own, no guidance, no posing coach, no diet coach, no trainer?
Hmm. Right.
None of them that are good are going to
Yeah.
win.
Right.
You know what I'm
Not
saying?
the winners.
So if you want to win at life and you want to win at overcoming your health challenge,
Hmm.
invest in yourself, invest in the
Absolutely.
program. If you have to read reviews and do your research and do your due diligence, do that. You know what I mean? I'm not
Yes.
saying shell out thousands of dollars to somebody that you don't even know and that has no proof that they've helped other people. What
Hmm.
I'm saying is have a little bit of faith in those individuals that have proven they can do what they're saying they can do
Yep.
and just lean in and
Yeah.
actually follow through, and that's why I also a big part of the beginning of my protocols is number one, focused on nervous system regulation like you do,
Hmm.
and also self-awareness building, right? Because a lot of us have unconscious
Hmm.
self-sabotaging behaviors, and that's why a lot of
Hmm.
people can't follow through. They'll start one thing and then they'll quit. So that's why I don't know how often you see your clients, but I see mine every 2 weeks
Hmm.
because that's necessary. I need to see your face. You know what I
Right.
mean? And I'm
Right.
messaging you in between that time as well. And we're also
Absolutely.
tracking your progress over time. You know what I mean? So
Hmm.
a lot of people tend to forget just how far they've come. You know what I mean? They
Yeah.
forget they came to me in a very rough state. So I have to
Yeah.
remind them, hey, you are progressing,
Hmm.
and celebrating those wins is important. And just getting them to believe that their body is capable of healing so that they can
Hmm.
snowball and eventually by the end of the program I can kiss them goodbye and send them on their way.
Yeah. And they feel confident, right? They feel confident walking away, knowing that you equip them with the tools that they can continue these habits that they've developed, that you've helped them develop, you know, for the long term. And I think it's so important when you mention, monitoring progress, but celebrating the wins, no matter how big, how small. I'm really big on, clients documenting their journey, and whether that's just journaling, whether that's pictures, whether that's like a quick rating of how did I feel today, 1 to 5. What were my moods today? More specifically, what were my moods after I ate certain foods? Things like that, so that they're able to start developing specific patterns. And even if it's, a not so great mood, what happened in the hours leading up to that not so great mood? Did something, external happen at work or at home? Did you have a night out with your friends? Which is fine. Did you have a night out? Like, I'm not here to judge you or criticize you for your choices. I'm just here to help you connect the dots to show you cause and effect. The choice you made yesterday, this is the impact of that choice today. And so you can then take that information and decide whether you want to make that choice again based on whatever that impact was. If you like the impact, then you should probably do it again. If you didn't like that impact, you didn't like how that choice made you feel. Now we know we need to pivot. That's where we start making the lifestyle changes. Like that's literally where all of that comes into play. I absolutely see it.
Getting
Absolutely.
people to the point of recognizing when they've had enough of their own shit is huge. It's
And that's
like
when I feel
how,
like they're ready.
yeah, yeah. It's like I have one client that was really struggling with quitting his cigarette smoking.
Mm,
And when I have clients like that that have some kind of addiction pattern,
mm-hmm.
I always, I'll coach about 30 minutes on it. It's like, hey, we're not chasing perfection here.
Right.
You have a bit of a habit
Mm-hmm.
that almost feels like you can't control it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So remember how I was saying about the laziness, we're wired to be lazy. I call it there's a lazy little gremlin living inside, and it's a saboteur, okay? It is a
Yeah.
saboteur, and you have to understand that there is that lazy little gremlin, but then there's also a part of you that will act on your highest self, on your best self.
Mm-hmm.
That's the one that chooses the discipline and the long-term dopamine over the short-term satisfaction.
Yeah.
So I tell him, I say, you have to know that that lazy gremlin is always going to be there, okay? You just
Mm-hmm.
have to catch it in the moment. So during this entire program, you might slip up, okay?
Yeah.
But you communicate with me when you do slip up. I'm not here to judge you, like you said that you do with your clients. And we're not
Mm-hmm.
chasing perfection, we're chasing self-awareness.
Yes.
And we are also taking that feedback and figuring out a way to overcome the challenge, overcome
Mm-hmm.
the lazy gremlin, put him in his
Mm-hmm.
cage type of
Yeah.
thing. So, okay. Well, what happens leading up to the cigarette smoking, right? Because we quit for 40 days and now we're
Mm-hmm.
back where we started. And, you know, long day at work, didn't eat enough that day, so was feeling a little anxious, and
Mm-hmm.
his mom smokes. So I was like, okay, well, did you have a conversation with your mom and tell her that you're on this program and that you really need to prioritize your health?
Right.
He said yes, but then he goes and says that he smoked on his own, and then she saw him smoking and or reaching for a cigarette, and she's like, "What are you doing?" And he's like, "Well, I already smoked." So I'm like, "Okay, we need to have another conversation."
Right. Right.
We need to figure out how you can modify your environment to best support your goals. So if we're
Yes.
constantly outside hanging around mom, she's
Mm-hmm.
smoking cigarettes, she's
Mm-hmm.
okay with you breaking your own boundaries with yourself, then we need to figure out a solution for that. Maybe we
Yes.
can't hang out around mom when she's
Mm-hmm.
outside smoking. We need to figure out a replacement for the habit, right? Because if we're not replacing the habit, lazy gremlin is going to completely override your willpower. Like
Yes.
you're not gonna be able to do it.
Yes.
You have to understand like your own human physiology, and I think people get caught in this shame cycle, and so they end
Mm-hmm.
up going unconscious and avoidant about what
Mm-hmm.
they're doing, and so then they just keep repeating the same old cycle, and it's like get
Right.
out of the shame loop
Yes.
and address the problem at its core. Is it the
Right.
environment? Is it the people you're around? Or is it just the simple fact that you haven't figured out a solution or a replacement for the habit that you're having?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Agree. Similarly, I love the gremlin analogy. It's like it's not going anywhere. Like, yeah, I got to. It's very similar to how I describe just the stress and stress. But stress support is my big thing. I know a lot of people are chasing ways to eliminate stress and cure stress and avoid stress. And I'm like, well, I got some bad news for you. That is not possible. And it's not possible because we often focus on stress being like this mental and emotional takeover that, has us making choices that like aren't necessarily, good for us. When in actuality, you're experiencing stress in plenty other settings, right? I'm explaining like you went for a run yesterday, you worked out or whatever the case is. Hey, that's stress. It's healthy stress, but it's stress nonetheless. And understanding that you made keep the two completely separate, right, in your mind, but in your body, physically, the same thing is happening in response to both those events, regardless of whether it was on a treadmill or if you were stuck in a traffic jam and somebody stressed you out because they cut you off or whatever the case is. And so I'm like harping on the fact that it's going to happen. It's inevitable. Nobody can get away from stress, but it's being in the moment and recognizing it and knowing here's what I need to do so I can calm my stress response down. So I can move out of like this fight or flight, highly sensitive, high alert mode into resting, relaxing, calming myself, quieting the chaos, all the things you need to do to get back to that state. Both are very necessary, but it has to be the healthy balance. Otherwise, if you're living in an environment where stress is constantly running the show and you're always on high alert, that's when you start to see all of these issues, all of these symptoms that we typically see clients come in with, right? And then all of these different coping mechanisms that they're turning to that generally are just causing more damage overall. Like literally a stress loop. So it's like for your client who, he might have not had the best morning, right? He may have not fed his body well that day. And ultimately that led up to him making the choice to have a smoke. Like you said, all right, let's talk about what got you there, right? And let's talk about like in that context, the stressor came on here, right? That was an opportunity to do what? Okay, cool. You made this choice. It's kind of like a decision tree sort of thing. And you made it all the way down here. And so now can you understand the layers of, that have been created from the choices that you made? And it's again, like you said, it's that awareness, right? It's like you did it. You can't undo it. But tomorrow's another day. Tomorrow, you can do things differently to have a better morning. You know that you can feed yourself a ton of different foods that will actually support you to where you may not get to that point where you feel like you need a smoke. You can get to that point where you feel like, I feel good. I had a great day. Everything went well. Even if it's just one thing that went well, just like recognizing it. And that's earlier you talked about celebrating wins. I think a lot of people don't do that often enough, right? Getting ready for bed and thinking about like, I got to see an old friend that I haven't seen in forever, and like that was really the highlight of my day, and I love that. Or I finally got done this work project, and I got so much praise on it, and or I stayed on the treadmill for extra 15 minutes. It's just what I mean. Talking to ourselves. I always say talking to yourself gently and kindly, like that makes the world of difference and has such an impact on just the regular choices that you're going to make every day. People will be surprised about that connection.
100%. And I'm sure that you coach your clients on adopting a morning routine, a self-care routine,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
That is so foundational. And if we start our day opening our phone, exposing ourselves to war crimes and all of this stuff, and just starting off with cheap dopamine, we're
Yeah.
setting ourselves up for failure big
Mm-hmm.
time. And it's it's never going to end well. Like by the middle of the day, you're going to be leaning into those bad habits, like the
Yes.
smoking and whatnot, because it signals to your brain also, especially if you are on a program or you have an intention or you want to do better at this thing, or like maybe you are wanting to do AM workouts and you had like an intention of doing it Monday, Wednesday, Friday, but then you don't.
Mm-hmm.
It destroys the trust that you have with yourself. When you don't
Yep.
have pride in yourself, pride in what you do, you're never going to get to where you want to be. Like it's not going to work out well, I guess, is as simple as I could say it.
Yep.
So you have to constantly be intentional and reflect as well. So not only just
Mm-hmm.
waking up and executing on your routine and doing those things that fill your cup before you even go into your day, but also
Yes.
reflecting, and journaling about the wins
Mm-hmm.
first. That needs to come first. And then you're like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, well, I had all of these things I did really well, but where was I avoiding?
Mm-hmm.
where was I not so self-aware?
Mm-hmm.
I slip up. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I knew that I could have, probably done my cardio today, but I decided to scroll on my phone. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
let's write that down. But then also, instead of shaming ourselves about it, it's figuring out what an action plan is going to look like. Okay.
Right.
So how do I carry that in tomorrow? Like, how can I actually make my schedule or my environment more supportive of that? Okay,
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to put a lockout app on my social media at this time, and that's the time that I'm supposed to be at the gym, and that's when I'm supposed
Mm-hmm.
to be doing video. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
got it. And then I'm also going to tell myself that the reason I'm doing this cardio isn't because I am punishing myself because I'm overweight and I need to look a certain way to be accepted or worthy, but rather I'm doing this because I love myself.
Yes.
And I am doing this because I always feel good after. So I'm going
Mm-hmm.
to visualize and sit with that feeling of how good and how proud of myself I'm going to be if I just execute on the things that I intend to do. That's
Absolutely.
huge for people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like people that I don't think it's talked about enough
Mm-hmm.
that those things that you do in secret, you know how like people
Mm-hmm.
will say God's always watching?
Yep.
You are always watching you. You know what I mean? God is you to some effect, right? I don't know if you're religious or if anybody watching is, but that doesn't really matter, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
what matters is you always know what you do.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? If you are betraying yourself, you're always going to feel anxious and you're just not going to ever attain true happiness. And I think that
Absolutely.
is foundational. If you are chasing happiness, what you should really be doing is focusing on the things that you are intending to do and focus on self-development.
Mm-hmm.
You find happiness, in my opinion.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I agree.
No.
100%. I think when you mentioned, the importance of creating a morning routine, or even honestly, the importance of creating a wind down routine at night, I think, you know, we're exposed to like a lot of social media and just a lot of information slash misinformation that don't really communicate the real purpose and benefit of things like that. It's not just something you're doing to check off. Yeah, I got up this morning and I went for a walk because I told my trainer, or I told my FDN, or I told my holistic nutritionist that I was going to walk every morning. You're not doing it for us. Like, I don't want you to do it if you don't want to do it. Right? You're doing it because, like you said, you noticed a shift in your energy after. You noticed that you had a much calmer, smoother day. And even though mishaps could have still happened, right? You still could have been, late for work. You could have missed the train. You could have, you know, had an issue at work with a coworker. Setting the tone for your day before you really jump into it drastically changes how you respond to things. And in fact, I think it promotes a response versus a reaction, right? And my belief is that perspective is everything. I had a college professor tell me that, you know, the only way to have a bad day is if you make it a bad day. And I remind myself of that when I find myself, because it happens for us too, believe it or not. When I find myself, in this like cycle of just looking for things, looking for things that are going wrong, looking for things that are making me feel, not as great as I should be feeling. And I'm like, whoa, that's where your point about awareness comes in. Hold on. All right. So I almost crashed out this morning, or I did crash out this morning. What did I learn from that? What did I learn from that? And I can accept that was the choice I made then, and that's okay. We're here now, right? But it's like I'm not going to judge myself for doing it, because in that moment I felt like that was the best choice for me. But now reflecting on it, calming myself down, I understand that, you know what, going forward, I can stop, I can pause, I can remove myself from whatever environment it is. Like I can, you have willpower to Have full control over all of your choices. All of your choices. And if you feel like you don't, then my friend, I'm afraid to tell you that is a victim mindset, right? That is you do not want to be there. You do not want to be in a state where you feel like everything happens to you versus you control, what is what you experience, controlling your experiences, I should say.
Yeah, that's if I notice that I have a client that is in that mode, which is very rare, right? That's
Hmm.
when I start to refer them to listening to actual stories of people
Hmm.
that have been where they are
Hmm.
and have overcome it and are now extremely successful. Like,
Yes,
for instance, Jim Rohn is one of my favorite speakers. I don't know if you've heard of Jim Rohn.
I've heard the name. I've heard the name.
So silly. He's so silly. Like, you have to look him up, but he's so good. And it's just like, it's similar to what we teach, right? The answer is simple,
Hmm.
but it's the application of
Hmm.
the answer, right?
Yes.
And it's how consistent you do that. And it's getting out of the shame cycle and
Hmm.
just recognizing when you are failing yourself and deciding to do better the next day, you
Yes.
know? And he didn't come from much, he
Hmm.
was just a farm boy, was broke, and
Hmm.
he got this mentor that taught him how to save money, how
Hmm.
to literally become rich. He gave him books to read. He showed him exactly like what the framework was, and guess what he did? He executed on it, right?
Hmm.
I don't think any successful coach or athlete or anybody that's just successful in general didn't have a coach or a mentor.
Yeah.
So that's why it's important to ask for help and
Hmm.
get the right help.
Hmm.
And I think you'll see great success in whatever your endeavors are. I know personally in my own experience that whenever I've had a mentor in my life or whenever I was being coached, I followed through.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just need that, whether it's a partner or just somebody in your life to
Hmm.
keep you staying the course, because a lot of people will attempt at something, they'll hit a rough spot, and then they'll just let it go completely.
Yeah.
That's what keeps it in your headspace, right? Is like,
Hmm.
oh, okay, I'm trying out this thing, I'm doing this detox program, but when you do it on your own, like, I don't know if you've done a detox protocol on your own, but it's your mind will tell you so many things and will make so
Hmm.
many justifications as to why you should stop or if it's not working. You know what I mean? But if you
Hmm.
have that other person on the other side and you come to them and you're like, yeah, I don't know, like this one product made me a little nauseous. It's like, okay, well, that product you're supposed to actually take with food. Did you eat it with food? Oh, I was taking it on an empty stomach. You get what I'm saying? Like, we can course correct and troubleshoot
Yep.
when we're working with
Yep.
coaches.
Yep. Absolutely. I think community, just in general, right? Whoever the accountability partner or partners are, even if it's, if it's your spouse, if it's your kid, if it's your friend, your sister, your brother, like whoever that is, and generally that's somebody who is just as invested in your well-being as you are. They want to see you be your best self, right? They know you. They want to see you succeed. And though, we as practitioners, we know you to a certain extent. When we say like we're really here to serve you, and we have gone through those experiences where you have been before, and we've come out on the other side feeling like we can conquer the world every day. It's like I want you to feel that. And this is why I'm here. This is why I'm doing this work. This is why I'm talking to you. This is why I'm sending you resources. This is why I'm checking in on you regularly. Like all of this is so that you can feel supported, you can feel safe, and you can feel confident in yourself. And so, whether it's, a practitioner, a coach, a mentor, a family member, a loved one, like the impact of community on a wellness journey specifically is huge. It's huge.
Yeah, yeah, and like the success of my clients is what keeps me showing up.
Mm-hmm.
On days when I don't have any Zoom calls, those are my lowest days. Like I
Mm-hmm.
need that interaction. I need to see My clients' wins, I want to hear from them. And if I was doing this coaching and I didn't see any success, nobody was getting results, I don't know if I would be okay mentally, honestly. So it is just, it's what helps me thrive as well. So it is a
Absolutely.
symbiotic relationship,
Mm-hmm.
and it's absolutely my goal. It's my primary focus is getting you results. So that's kind
Yes.
of why it circles back to, um, we're not chasing perfection. I just want
Mm-hmm.
honesty when we come
Mm-hmm.
on these coaching calls, and I want to be able to guide you through it, because at the end of the day, I just want to give you the result that you paid for, that you're
Yeah.
seeking out. Like, the last thing that I want to do is leave you more frustrated
Right.
with your health. I mean, that's the most irritating thing to be frustrated with, and to not have
Yes.
answers. You know what I mean? So that's why I do, the diagnostics that I do. That's why we screen the
Mm-hmm.
way that we do.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. I've never had a client that wasn't happy with the protocol, and I think it's just because I address it from every area, and I am there
Yeah.
for them, and we do have the consistent dialogue.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's just it's
It's
important to
effective.
have somebody in your circle. Go ahead.
Yeah. Yeah, it's effective. With the work you're doing, it's effective. It's impacting them. It's it's huge for them. Like it's the formula is working.
Formula
The
duty.
formula is working. It's
It
working.
is effective, and
Yes.
I love that. I love that. I wouldn't want to sell anything if I knew it wasn't going to benefit somebody. That's just always something I've been against. We're
Mhm.
healers. We wouldn't be in this space if we weren't. And as a
Exactly.
healer, and you're not helping somebody, it kind of defeats the whole purpose. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? You're going to stop showing up. You're going to
Yeah.
go and do something else at that point. You know what I mean? It just kind
Yeah.
of goes against our principles in life, I
Yep.
feel.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
yeah. Well, thank you
Agree.
so much, Lauren. I went way over time.
That's
Sorry
okay.
about
I
that.
had no idea.
I was loving the conversation. I just love when it
Same.
flows so well. But
Same.
where can people find you online, and do you have any offers for new clients?
Absolutely. So, first and foremost, thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me. I am super duper grateful to be here today and to be able to, have this dialogue and just share these gems with anyone who's willing to listen. So, I really do appreciate that. Secondly, you can find me on Instagram and TikTok and Threads and all the things. It's at Soulistic Wellness Center, Soulistic Wellness Center. You can visit my website, soulisticwellnesscenter.com, where you can learn a bit more about my story, my journey, what I'm here to offer you, and how I can support you. Clients who are, or prospective clients who are interested in working with me, they can set up a free clarity call. We'll talk for 30 minutes, one on one. We'll talk about, your journey so far, where you've been, the challenges you faced, and really where are you trying to get to? And how can I support you? If and how, and I can support you. And then, we can kind of go on from there. Aside from that, I also offer some free programs. So I recently just had a webinar just digging into stress, making it simple. It's called Stress Made Simple. But really diving a bit into, what is stress? What's the effects on our body? How does it manifest physically for a lot of us? And so that you can walk away from that with some awareness and understanding that, hey, I can pinpoint this is stress. What do I need to do to slow myself down and calm myself down? And I actually am offering a another freebie, which is a sort of an email reset program. So it's 3 days of some educational insights delivered to your inbox where you can dive a bit more deeper, right? The first step is to create awareness, and that's what this program is doing, right? Giving you some insights, focusing on 3 pillars of like nutrition, movement, and rest, making sure that you understand how critical those things are, especially in stressful moments, but also just developing lifestyle changes so that you're supporting yourself even when you're not stressed, right? We always want to take the proactive, preventative approach here. And so I am launching the second version or second round of that reset, December 2nd, you can sign up on my site, again, soulisticwellnesscenter.com. You can check out my social media, and I'll definitely be talking a bit more about that. And then also you can sign up for my new mini course that's launching in January. I know a lot of people are, I'm not a fan of resolutions because I feel like how many people actually ever really stuck with resolutions? I didn't because I used to set them all the time and I did not.
Right.
But it's really a mindset shift. It's a perspective change. It's really understanding that, the top of the year is not the only time you can start to take care of yourself. You can start to take care of yourself today, tomorrow, next week, whenever. The sooner the better, of course. But I have a wait list for that program. It's launching on January 7th. So after the hustle and bustle of the holiday season, and you want to bring it down, relax yourself, reset yourself, you can sign up for that on my site, soulisticwellnesscenter.com/mini-course-waitlist. And I'm offering an exclusive discount for that program, 15% off for the podcast viewers. So if you sign up for the wait list, you will get that coupon code that you can apply to the program and sign up, and we'll get you together. We're gonna get you together.
Amazing. So much good stuff. I really appreciate
Absolutely,
you getting on the call with me today. And I'll link
for
all of
sure.
that stuff below so that you don't have to figure out how to spell all that stuff
Hmm.
out. I link everything down in the caption below. So
Yep.
thank you so much for being on. And I'm excited for whoever ends up signing up with you. I think you are a fabulous coach. I think you're
Thank
grounded.
you.
And I wish you the best success in your coaching business and to all
Thank
your future
you.
clients.
Thank
Absolutely.
you. Thank you. And keep doing what you're doing because we need you. We need you. I admire
We
your
will
work. Yeah, I admire your work, and I sense the passion for it, and I think you have to be passionate about the work to really I don't want to just say be successful because I'm really not talking about money. I'm talking about being impactful in this particular field. Money aside, to be impactful for people to really trust you and understand you and want to learn from you. You know what I mean? Like you have to have the passion and it is clearly there. And so I definitely admire your drive for this.
Oh, thank you. I think
Of course.
you have to have the intrigue, right? Because
Hmm.
this field it demands continued education. So if you're not
Yes.
interested in health, number one, and you're
Hmm.
not interested in giving your client the best result, you're going to fail in this
Yep.
business.
Yes.
And people aren't going to be very happy with you either. So,
Yes.
absolutely essential to be committed in this field for sure. And I can tell that you have that in you. And
Thank you.
I think everybody that I've ever had on this podcast is really passionate about it. So
Absolutely.
thank you so much again. You know
Thank
where to
you.
find Lauren. Please sign up with her webinar and her offerings. I'm sure it's going to be amazing for you and such a great starting point. And that's it for tonight. Thank you guys so much and have a good rest of your week.